Are you about to buy a home in an area where you're going to hate it? Well, according to a recent study, the odds are very high that you are. 82% of home buyers said that they wish that they'd bought a different property. And one of the most common reasons was that they rushed the process and didn't know the area well enough. Buying a house is a lot like putting together a puzzle. And if you try to just jam random pieces together, it's never going to work. Everything has to fit in the right place. And if you pick the wrong piece, you'll be stuck in an area that doesn't fit your lifestyle, or worse, one where your home value could tank. So how do you avoid this? Well, if you think back to the last time that you actually put one of these things together, you'll realize there are some pieces that you always look for first. A corner piece, for example, is an easy one to know exactly where it goes, so you'll often start with that. Same goes for any other edge piece, and once you get those all assembled, the rest starts to fall into place. When you're buying a home, there are certain things that you look for first too. These are your corner and edge pieces, and in this video, I'll show you what the 4 main ones are, and I'll be using these to help solve the puzzle of the 5 best zip codes to buy a home in the Phoenix Metro. Now, the way I settled on these 4 categories is simple. It's the feedback I've gotten from clients over the years. I've helped hundreds of people buy homes around the valley, and nearly every one of them valued these things above everything else. So what's the first piece that everybody looks for? Well, if you're going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a home, you'll want to feel comfortable there. Nobody wants to worry about their house or vehicle being broken into, or running into physical harm if you decide to go for a walk. So each area that we look at will score really highly in our first piece of the puzzle: safety. Now, a secure neighborhood is great, but if the reason that you're safe is because there's 100 miles between you and everybody else, that's not really great either. Nobody wants to spend all day in the car taking the kids to school or going to get groceries. So the next piece is convenience. But that can be a double-edged sword. If your house backs up to a freeway, for example, then you'll be able to get places really fast, but it's also going to turn off a ton of buyers when you go to sell it again down the road. So these zip codes will all be some of the absolute best for the third thing everybody wants: home appreciation. And these aren't only going to be neighborhoods that cater to luxury buyers. You can pretty much count on Paradise Valley always having the highest appreciation in the state. But with an average home price being just over $3 million, that's going to put it out of reach for most buyers. Now, these zip codes all have homes over $1 million, but they're going to have ones that hit the mark on our last puzzle piece: affordability. Now, what qualifies as affordable is really debatable right now, and I know I'll catch some grief down in the comments for using this price range.
Has the whole world gone crazy?
It seems nuts, but in the Phoenix Metro, this is what most of the homes are selling for. So we'll consider anything priced from $400,000 to $700,000 as affordable. Can't wait to read those comments later. Okay, so this first zip code isn't a secret. It's been one of the most popular areas to buy a home in the Phoenix Metro for the last 2 decades, and it has one of the best communities in Arizona. One of the reasons I like this neighborhood so much is because it has a small town feel with its own Main Street district full of local shops and restaurants. You also get amazing views from the mountain range that borders the community. So what zip code is home to this great neighborhood? That would be 85396 in the city of Buckeye. This zip code sits at the western edge of the Phoenix Metro, and it's already home to some popular communities like Tartesso and Sun City Festival. But the crown jewel is the neighborhood that I was talking about, Verrado. This is really one of the ultimate communities in Arizona, and for people coming from out of state, it's a great fit because the HOA hosts a ton of events where you'll be able to meet your neighbors. They also have 99 clubs that residents can join. I got 99 clubs, but no, don't do that. There's all the usual ones, from arts and crafts to recreational sports leagues. And if your blood pressure's just been way too low, you can get in some really lively political discussions by joining the Democrats or the Republicans of Verrado. Not sure if those guys are getting together for a barbecue or not. Verrado's also tucked into the eastern slopes of the White Tank Mountains, so there are lots of hiking trails and beautiful scenery for all the outdoor lovers. And if you like to swing the golf clubs, Verrado has 2 18-hole courses with some of the best views you'll find in the valley. But how does this area score in home appreciation? Well, 85396 has seen massive growth in value over the last few years. Homes in this zip code are worth 37% more on average than they were 5 years ago. And just to give you a comparison, the neighboring zip code of 85355 had an average increase of only 29%. 85396 is one of the fastest growing zip codes in the country. And there's also a massive 37,000 acre community going in on the other side of the White Tank Mountains called Terra Velas that should give another big boost to the area. Now, all that home appreciation is great if you already own a a place there. But what about new buyers? And can you still find homes that are affordable? Well, right now, the median home price is about $478,000, so well within the range that we set earlier. And a lot of these were all built in the last 5 to 10 years, so you're getting newer homes with modern floor plans that fit what most buyers are looking for. And if you want a brand new home, this is one of your best choices because there are still a ton of builders offering all kinds of floor plans and price points. But how does 85396 measure up when we look at safety? Well, this map shows reported incidents of crime around the Phoenix Metro, and you'll only see a handful of things around 85396, and you can really see the difference if we expand the map and get a look at more areas closer into Phoenix. Now, the fear for most people is how much does that distance from Phoenix affect the convenience factor? In fact, one of the reasons I didn't buy in Verrado when I first moved here was because I thought it was too far out. But the population of Buckeye is exploding, and now you'll find a lot of grocery stores, shops, and restaurants all close by, and you can easily get to other parts of the valley via the I-10 freeway and the Loop 303. The 303 is also where a ton of major employers are bringing thousands of jobs. Some of the companies with a huge presence are Amazon, REI, UPS, and Chewy. I was very disappointed to learn that this isn't what Chewy actually does. But the biggest boost to employment is actually happening just up the 303 next to another zip code that's about to blow up. If your top priority is future home values, I believe this could be the best spot on the list. This zip code's already home to another one of Arizona's top communities, has plans for one that could be even better, and is minutes away from a huge employer that's only going to get bigger. So what zip code is in the middle of all this? That would be the northwest corner of Peoria in 85383. So as I mentioned, this area is already home to some really popular communities. You have Alora Vita being built in the southeast section of the zip code, and it's a beautiful place with some excellent views. But if you head a little farther northwest, just off the 303 loop, you'll come to the community of Vistancia, which is an incredible place to live. It's going to give you some of the same benefits as Verrado, but with a few differences. Verrado's Main Street district has a bunch of local shops and restaurants, and the shopping areas at Vistancia, they're a little bit more of the chains and strip mall variety. But something that's in Vistancia's favor is that you're just a few minutes away from Lake Pleasant, one of the largest man-made lakes in Arizona. So if you're a boating enthusiast, this might be the best community in the state. Another place that just broke ground and is expected to have about 6,500 homes and maybe the best views in the valley is the community of Saddleback Heights. This is just up the mountain from Vistancia. There are tons of trails out here too, so if you like mountain biking, horseback riding, or going on your ATV, this is a great place to call home. 85383 is also one of the safest areas of the valley, and if we look at our crime map again, we can see very few incidents, especially when we zoom out and take a look around. And similar to Verrado, this area is much more convenient thanks to the development of the Loop 303. It'll connect you to I-17 in about 20 minutes from Vistancia, and it also puts you 15 minutes away from Phoenix's newest mega employer, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC. This facility just opened and is expected to bring thousands of high-paying jobs to the area as it continues to expand. Home builders are expecting so many people to be coming to this zip code that they're actually getting into bidding wars trying to buy up all the parcels of land to build new communities, which is really why I think that this zip code will outpace all the others for home appreciation. But how does all that affect 85383 when it comes to affordability? Well, right now the average sales price is $661,000, but with the expected demand, that number is likely to soar, so this really is a great area to get in before that happens. And hopefully it's not 2030 when you're discovering this video. Another area that's going to benefit from a major project nearby also is in the West Valley. And for years, one of the biggest gripes about the West Valley cities has been that there's a lack of good shopping, dining, and entertainment options in their downtown areas. The East Valley has places like Tempe, Chandler, Gilbert, and even Mesa that have poured a ton of money into their downtown cores, which has led to lots of popular businesses moving into those cities, creating higher demand and also higher home prices. The West Valley still lags way behind the East Valley when it comes to having those attractive downtown areas, but one city is finally doing something about it. Our next destination is 85338, which is the city of Goodyear. Yes, this place was named after the tire company, and yes, it's putting a massive effort into building a brand new downtown core. The project is called GSQ, and there's a city hall, a library, public park, and even an office building that have already opened. This new downtown core also includes a big parking garage, so you can easily find a space, and once you drop off your car, you really shouldn't need it because the area was designed to be very walkable. And some really popular restaurants like The Stillery and Copper and Sage have already opened up there. There's also a family-friendly restaurant that is fond of cheese.
What time is it?
No, not that guy. This place is Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen, and there will be a lot more businesses coming soon because the project is still in the early stages. Now, one thing to note is that GSQ is actually not in the 85338 zip code, but the more established 85395 area of Goodyear. So if you've looked into communities like Palm Valley or Pebble Creek, then this is going to be just out your back door. But the reason I went with 85338 as the better zip code to buy in is because it has another one of the best neighborhoods in the valley, Estrella. There probably isn't a better place that captures the live at a resort feel better than here. It has 3 different resident clubs and fitness centers, which aren't as common at these mega communities as you might think. There's incredible pools, tons of parks, over 65 miles of trails, some of the best golf courses around, and 72 acres of lakes where you can rent kayaks or sailboats from the Estrella Yacht Club. This community is really incredible, and you also get awesome views here because the neighborhood is built into the Sierra Estrella Mountains. The only drawback for Estrella for years has been convenience. There's just one road in and out of the place, and you're a good distance off the I-10 freeway. But in the fall of 2025, the state is going to begin construction on the Loop 303 extension, and that's going to bring 3 lanes of freeway in each direction to the doorstep of the community and shorten those drive times by a pretty good amount. But that relative isolation out here does come with a positive effect, because once again, this is one of the safest places in the valley with very few incidents of reported crime. The combination of safety and all the incredible amenities has made Estrella a really desirable area to live, but this is actually the most affordable zip code on our list, with the average home price coming in at just $445,000. Our next stop takes us over to the East Valley, to a place that's already become a major destination for homebuyers in the Phoenix Metro, and it's not showing any signs of slowing down. If you've looked at homes anywhere in the East Valley, there's a good chance that this zip code has popped up a ton, and that's 85142 and the town of Queen Creek. This area's been at the top of the list for most of the clients who I've worked with, and the big draw for a lot of them is that you can still get a lot of new construction homes out here while still being close to the more popular and established areas like Gilbert and Chandler. Looking at our 4 categories, this is another really good choice for home appreciation. 5 years ago, the average price in Queen Creek was only $338,000, and that is rocketed up 44% to $610,000. But you can still find plenty of homes in the $400,000 to $700,000 range, so it's scores well in affordability for now, but it may not for much longer. That's because there's been a ton of development around the town in the last couple of years that's brought some things out to 85142 that the residents have been clamoring for. Entertainment options in Queen Creek used to be pretty limited, but now you have places like Pecan Lake where you can throw axes at things, or drive go-karts, or dangle by ropes high off the ground. Or you can play putt-putt golf, or maybe chow down on what could be the best barbecue in the state. But the real game changer for 85142 is breaking ground soon. Just like in Goodyear, Queen Creek has sorely needed a refresh of its downtown core, and the shovels are finally starting to hit the dirt after nearly a decade of planning. One of the big projects that's about to begin construction is called the Switch Yard. The developer has already signed on 2 popular restaurants to be the anchor tenants, and they're expecting to add more local eateries, retail shops, and some high-end office space soon as well. And this is just scratching the surface on what the town has in store for the downtown redevelopment. And you can spend hours on their website checking out all the plans. I'll put a link down in the description so that you can check it out because it would take way too long to cover it all. Now, this project still is going to take years to complete, and if you want to visit a thriving downtown area, the closest one right now is next door over in Gilbert. And depending on which part of 85142 you live in, getting there isn't the easiest. One of the gripes about Queen Creek in the past has been that it doesn't really score that well in convenience. Getting to the Loop 202 freeway can take a little bit of time, and the one major road that comes in and out of town was, and still is, congested thanks to the massive growth in population. In the last couple of years, some long-awaited projects have definitely helped with that. First was the opening of State Route 24, which gave residents on the east side of Queen Creek the freeway access that the town has sorely needed. They've also extended some of the other streets to give you more options to get in and out of town. But even with the longer distances to get to the freeway, tons of people are still moving into 85142. And another big reason for this is safety. It's another area that has a pretty empty map with reported crime. And really, the entire Southeast Valley is regarded as being one of the safest parts of the Phoenix Metro, which is another reason why the whole area really is popular. Queen Creek was really high on my family's list when we relocated to Arizona. But once we visited in person, we realized another place actually fit us a lot better. And that's our next zip code, which I'll reveal in a second. This happens to my clients all the time. They start with one community that they've researched from a distance, but very rarely is that the one that they actually end up buying in. Usually, I find them a place that they hadn't even considered, and it turns out to be the perfect fit. just because I've put this puzzle together so many times. So if you're thinking about moving here, I want to find the perfect place for you too. So make sure you click the link in the description below to book a free consultation. Okay, so where is our last stop? Well, at one time, people used to make fun of this place, saying it was old and run down, but then in 2014, another one of these mega communities opened that quickly became the best-selling neighborhood in Arizona and flipped the narrative about this place entirely. In fact, this community has been so popular that it's nearly sold out of new homes, which is about 5 years ahead of schedule. Now, if you look at a map to find this area, you'll probably be surprised to learn that we're talking about the city of Mesa, and the zip code that has become a premier destination here is the very southeast corner, right on the borders of Gilbert and Queen Creek, 85212. 20 years ago, there was hardly anything out here, but the same developer behind Verrado opened up this massive and extremely popular neighborhood that I mentioned before, Eastmark. This is another place that feels like a small town within a big city, which was a major factor in my family deciding to purchase a home here. We did not know a soul in Arizona when we moved, and having all the social functions and clubs and events really did help us meet people and make friends quickly. But another big draw for us was that this was an area that we could actually afford a home. 85212 is actually less expensive than Queen Creek, with the average sales price being $550,000. Now, Eastmark's gonna run about $50,000 more than that, but that's still a lot less than similar communities like Morrison Ranch over in Gilbert, which has an average sales price of $730,000. This is another area where home prices are in line to see an increase thanks to some projects that are still in development. For years, the residents of Eastmark have been waiting, some more patiently than others, for the main retail center to open, and 2 years ago, we got our first glimpse of what they're now calling East Market. The hope was that by 2024, we'd have some of the businesses open, but as of today, the area's a bit of a work in progress. But once the plans finally get approved, the complex is supposed to have a specialty grocer, a hotel, high-end retail and dining choices, and maybe even some pickleball courts and an amphitheater that can host concerts and other events. The new mayor of Mesa has also said that 85212 is a priority for the city to bring in some major projects, and he even hinted recently at a 100-acre retail development being in the works that will completely reshape the area. But with all these projects still in the planning stages, most of the people in 85212 are traveling into places like Gilbert, Queen Creek, and even Chandler pretty often. Thankfully, this zip code is the best of the whole list for convenience, which is a big reason why we chose it over Queen Creek. The Loop 202 freeway runs right through this area, so there's easy access to all parts of the valley. You can be in downtown Phoenix in about 35 minutes, and Scottsdale is roughly the same. The Mesa Gateway Airport is also in this zip code, which offers flights on Allegiant Airlines. And if you're traveling farther to Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix, you can be there in about 30 minutes. My family and I love the outdoors, and Saguaro Lake is only about 30 minutes away. You can even be hiking or biking out in the Superstition Mountains in probably 20 minutes to the east. I also enjoy slicing golf balls out into the desert, and some of the best courses in Arizona, like Dinosaur Mountain and Gold Canyon and Las Sendas in Northeast Mesa, are only 20 minutes away too. This is another zip code that scores very well in safety. My wife and I have felt very good about raising our kids here, and most of the parents in the neighborhood feel just fine letting their kids go down to the park nearby without having to watch them like a hawk. But if there's a downside to buying an 85212, it's this. You won't find many brand new homes left here. But just down the road, the same developer who built Eastmark has another community in the works, and I actually know several people who are selling their Eastmark homes to move there. Everybody wants to catch the next big thing before it takes off, and I really do think this place is about to do just that. So you should watch this video next so you don't miss out on what could be the best opportunity in Arizona real estate.